Hey guys, if you see my previous videos, I have been doing the Lingoda Sprint since January, and I feel like online language courses are just becoming more and more popular, so I wanted to make this sprint review for those of you who are considering doing the sprint and share my experiences and the information that I wish I knew before doing the sprint. So in this video, I will be talking about what Lingoda is. I'll talk about the teachers, my class experience, the content material, and the actual sprint promotion, as well as going over my overall thoughts in the end. Well, it's an online language school which teaches German, French, Spanish, English, and business English. And once in a while they have this sprint promotion where you can either take a regular sprint or a super sprint. So I took the regular sprint, which is 15 lessons a month, and that lasts for 3 months. And the challenge is that if you complete all these lessons, you will get a 50% cashback. And you can also do something called a super sprint, which is a lesson every single day for 3 months, and you will then get a 100% cashback if you complete the lessons. So the classes consist of 60 minutes with up to 5 students and a teacher, which I think is a genius idea because you rarely get to learn in such small groups, and I think it is really beneficial that everyone gets to speak and gets to read the content material. If you finish a level of classes, you will also get a certificate that follows the CEFR standard. And this is very good if you're going to apply for university or something and you need a certificate to prove your language skills. However, this is a bit of an extra challenge if you want to do that. They know the grammar extremely well, so when I had the lessons, I never encountered one teacher who weren't able to answer a question I had about something technical about the language. And one of my favorite things about it all is that it's such an international community, and not only with the students but also the teachers. I had German-speaking teachers who lived in Germany, obviously, but I also had from Africa and Asia and other countries in Europe as well. I think I loved about 40% of the classes, really enjoyed, and the rest were mostly okay and alright, and I only had a few lessons where the teacher was really bad. The thing is that if you don't like a teacher, you don't need to have that teacher ever again, so you can see what teachers that are set up for the different classes, and if you see a teacher you don't like, don't pick it, because every single hour there are multiple lessons usually that you can choose from, and you can always go in the teacher's bio and read about what they want to say about themselves, how they choose to represent themselves, and I think that is a very good way to kind of get to know how engaged the teacher is about teaching the language. So I found that really useful, and with the teachers that I do loved, I could go into their profile and look up their upcoming lessons, which was really helpful because then I could kind of organize my schedule around the teachers that I really wanted to learn from. There is definitely a balance between choosing good teachers and just, having a consistent schedule that is easy to follow. So I usually had my lessons between 7 and 8 a.m. and I tried to pick the best teachers around that time, but I really wanted it to be a quite consistent schedule, so if there was a teacher I knew wasn't that good, I would still take it just to have it at that time that I found convenient. In comparison to my expectations, I think it was much more free than I originally thought, because if you read the sprint rules before doing it, then you will see that it says things like you have to show up in time, you have to be in the lessons for the entire 60 minutes and so forth. But actually my first lesson, the teacher came 5 minutes late, which I got so stressed about, but I quickly found out that you can come up to 10 minutes late, I think, and they will still count it. I really thought I would be fluent in German in 3 months, which I'm not. realized that you still need to work by yourself and practice the grammar if you wanted to become like up to the level of fluency. And although Lingoda is a very good thing to do, it won't get you fluent, you know. And I plan on working more on the grammar and learning more vocabulary and stuff like that after the sprint. One of my favorite things about everything really is that the students are so international, and especially in this time of the pandemic where like I'm just at home really, you get to meet so many new faces and from completely different cultures. It made me realize like how different people live in the world, and just like how much more there is to experience in the world other than the life you live. So yeah. On one side, I really understand that it's so much easier for both the teacher and the students when everyone has their camera on, because it's much easier to have a conversation and to feel like you're in like the same room basically. However, I do also understand that sometimes the Wi-Fi is really bad, and as for me especially, like I normally had a lesson at 7 a.m. and I literally woke up 5 minutes before the lesson started, and sometimes, you know, I was just kind of like still asleep when the lesson started. So I was definitely guilty of not turning the camera on every single day. But I really encourage you, if you have the opportunity and if you feel okay with doing it, just to have your camera on for the sake of the teacher and the other students. I think it's really good and also very neat, but I thought they had not that much of a description of the lessons when you click on the different like topics and try to get an idea of what it is about. I found that it just kind of repeated what the title said, and you didn't get to understand what it was about really. So that is the thing I would improve on. I am generally very impressed. They had different topics, like I have it on my computer here. They had grammar, communication, reading, speaking and writing courses. And my favorite was definitely the speaking based, because you get to know the different students better and you get to converse more, and I always found that this side of the lesson was the most fulfilling. The connection between the people was always the most important to me. So yeah. Oh, I also really like the different topics of the lessons. So they have a very modern idea of like what the lessons are about. They have like a very future-oriented list of topics. So that included like climate change, globalization, technology, and you know, how we use the internet, and also like music, science and things like that. I find that very interesting. You also have the choice to do a test after the lesson to check if you understood things, and also to do homework. I personally did not do that because I found that showing up to the lesson was like enough for me. My motivation was mostly to speak and to engage in the lesson. However, that is possible, and I think it's a very good offer for those of you who are interested. As for the sprint promotion, the most important thing is to read the rules very carefully, because they definitely make a lot of pitfalls. So the things I would look for is that, first of all, the sprint promotion do not start from the beginning of a month. However, they start like in the middle of the month, which is kind of confusing when you're trying to organize lessons, and you have to remember the start and the end of each month, and to make sure that you get as many lessons in that time period as required. Also, you can only have one lesson a day, and if you're not able to show up for some reason, then the Lingoda Sprint does not take any responsibility for that whatsoever. So if the Wi-Fi is down, if there is an electricity shortage, or if something happens to you in your life that you can't control, then it doesn't matter, because the challenge is to show up for every single lesson, and if you're not able to do that, then you will fail. And actually, I did fail the sprint because I did forget a lesson. I was in my last month and almost the last week actually, and I completely forgot about the lesson, and because I had it so early in the morning, I had no chance of like checking my calendar and noticing it. So that was honestly my bad. But with that being said, I did not feel that bad about it because it was not my motivation in the first place. I knew I had the money to pay for it anyway, and I think it was worth the money. And you know, you're doing the sprint to learn a language, you're doing it to consistently work on it and to get better, and I think that everyone who's doing the sprint is a winner, because if you weren't doing it, then you wouldn't have come as far as you do when you are doing the sprint. So I don't feel like the money is the point of doing it. However, it's so important that you know you're able to pay for it in the first place, that you're not depending on getting that cash back, because there is really no guarantee that you will be able to show up to every single lesson. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you don't cancel the subscription in the last month of the sprint, you will automatically be transferred to another a subscription, and you will have to pay for it afterwards. So make sure to write an email to the Lingoda team and say that you will cancel your subscription after the sprint. Another thing that is kind of problematic with the sprint promotion is that if you want to follow the lessons in order, and if you want to complete a level to get a certificate or something, this might be more difficult with a sprint promotion, because it's not always that the lessons come up in order, and you will maybe have to like have a lesson in the afternoon and another in the morning, and you know, it can be kind of chaotic, I think. But yeah, that is just something to keep in mind. I definitely think it was, you know, my motivation to do it was to consistently work on my German, and also it was a motivation for me to wake up, because I did not have that much school at the time, and I really felt like the sprint really forced me to be consistent and be an early riser, and I felt like I really got what I wanted out of it. So I hope this was helpful to some of you, and with that I will say goodbye. So thanks for watching and see you!